Hi guys, welcome to Njoli Farms. My name is Melusi and I'm here with
Richard and Njoli. Welcome to the life and the day of a young farmer.
Okay. Hi guys, welcome back again. Thank you for joining us. Spending a day in the life of a young farmer. This is Njoli Farms. This is Richard with me, and my name is Melusi. We are in charge of managing the operations here at Njoli Farms. Maybe Richard here will take us through the different operations that we have on the ground, and maybe later through you can follow us and you can see what we are doing on the ground. But so far it's mostly preps and plantations. Yeah.
Hi guys, it's me again. It's Richard and Njoli here from Njoli Farms. I'll be taking you throughout the farm to see our various operations. We are a leafy green vegetable production company based in Merton, 60k south of Johannesburg. We also have operations up in the northwest during the winter season. So currently at the farm, it's winter season now. We have spring onions in production, baby spinach, some radish, and then on the other farm, just down the road, we have some cabbage. So we'll be taking you guys throughout the operation so you can have a valuable insight into our operations at Njoli Farms. On this farm specifically, this is a farm A, Riversdale. We call it Riverlea Farm. If you look at the back, it's 16 hectares. Currently here, we've planted 2 hectares of baby spinach, just under half a hectare of spring onion. And then, so this area right there is baby spinach in this section. And then further down, as you'll see, we have another block of baby spinach, which is a hectare. Then we'll be planting a hectare every 2 weeks.
You will follow us as we take you through our operations, and mind you, some of the beds that you will see that don't have plants on them, they are in the preparation process. We have a scheduled planting schedule for every 2 weeks. We will be planting, so the land has to be ready as we speak. So follow us. Let's go.
Basically, like a brief history of Njoli Farms. It was established by my father a couple of years back, specifically 2014. He's been farming longer, but he basically started it like properly in 2014. But besides that, his great grandfather and father were farming too. So yeah, that's just a brief history of where Njoli Farms is coming to.
Technically, the father's fifth generation, right?
Yeah, fourth.
Yeah, generation of farmers.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, since we've come into the business, we try to make it more corporate, and that's the direction we're going to. So there's a new practice in agriculture called good agricultural practices, which is global gaps. We try to incorporate that into the business so we have a bit of a bigger chunk in the value chain in terms of getting access to bigger markets. So that's one of the changes we've made in the business, trying to make it more compliant, yes, so that we can have a bigger chunk of the whole value chain.
Compliance is key, guys.
Yes.
Without compliance, like the niche market is not open there. You need to be comfortable, have traceability with your food, and just to make ensure that you are following the cultural standards that are acceptable, something that will make people sick. So it's really important to compliance. People are looking to out there, you know. And since the last time we guys were here, since the last time you guys were here, the last time we met, we've seen expansion to an extent that we now have operations with the way we operate that in different seasons. Because at most we do lettuce. We have a farm in Brit for the winter season. That way we can have like a
consistent supply
of lettuce. That side they are planting spring onions, so we can go and check that out there.
So before we get there, there's an interesting form of technology which we've incorporated into the farm, which is our irrigation system. I'm sure you guys are used to they're not all, but the normal irrigation system, but we went to Netafim sprinklers, which are like a fine mist, which is good for leafy vegetables. So what you do have is you don't get a lot of sediment on your final product, because it creates this fine mist. So yeah, these are Netafim sprinklers. This is all DIY. We did it ourselves on the farm. So yeah, it's part of the things that my dad and Melusi have actually incorporated into the farm. So yeah, let's journey on to the spring onion.
So with land expansion, we look at our production. They have multiplied since the last time you saw it. Because this is like an 18 hectare. We went from operating on an 18 hectare to operating at 34 and how many hectares?
Brit is 24.
24 in Brit and 32 here. We're gonna go to the farm where we are also having other operations. So there is expansion in as much as we had a bad season coming in because of the rains. We took a loss, but when you look at the bigger picture, we are expanding. Yeah, so not too shabby. It might look like there's nothing, but we planted seeds.
Yes.
So in about 2-3 weeks, we start
seeing the germination of the baby spinach. I can actually show you the seeds. So we mechanically plant the seed with the tractor. So if you look here, these are the baby spinach seeds. We'll show you in a different block on how it looks when it's germinated. I'm sure you've seen it in the shops now, in the retailers, in the packs. Yeah, so that's the seed right there.
On both sides, if you look at the irrigation system on this side and the one on this side, this one is a bit different and it's higher. So the challenge we have with this fine sprinkler is that there's blockage. Sometimes they block, they get, and it does not irrigate properly. So the ones we have on this side, we actually had to take down this fine sprinkler on this whole section. This is a project we are busy with. We still need to set up and erect the pipes for the lines, and so that in time for us to still plant. So far we've done that section alone, and then we'll come biggie. Eventually. So the advantage with this sprinkler is that it's not as fine. It's like a normal sprinkler. They're like similar to the ones that are packed on the floor that sprinkle around. This one does the same simulation and it's like the rain at the end of the day because it's overhead and it's nice for like head crops and even the spring onion and your coriander. So yeah, we look forward to experimenting with this and seeing how far we can stretch it. Because this we've had about 5 years or so, right?
Yeah, so this irrigation system is called the tick-tick. Another plus I'll add on to what Melusi's mentioned is since it's overhead, when you're prepping land with this tractor, it's easier to get through your field as compared to maybe your drip. Yes, drip does save water, but the problem is now every season you have to come out, take out the drip tape and replace. So this, once you've planted, as you can see, we've prepped the land. You can just go into the tractor and get going with your work. Yeah. So behind us here, this is the spring onion we're mentioning. If you can see in the backdrop, you'll see the workers are planting the spring onion. Yeah, and this takes between now in the winter 10 to 12 weeks till harvest. Yeah. If you can come closer, have a closer look. We've actually, because of our global gap practices, we have to state when it was planted, the week basically, and as I said, so in week 32 it'll be ready for harvest. That's just for traceability, so that the final customer actually knows where his specific crop is coming from. So when you're in the retail and you have a problem, you can always trace it back to this field, so for traceability purposes. Okay, so one of the important parts of actually farming is also creating jobs. As you know, in South Africa, we have a serious problem with labor unemployment. So with us having this operation going, also creating jobs for local people around, job creation is important. As you know, unemployment is a serious problem in our country, and we at Njoli, we pride ourselves in trying to, employ and empower people in the local community. Currently, we have 15 people working on the operation on all the farms, but we do intend on increasing that number, especially as soon as we have a proper packaging facility available for us to create more people, to employ more people and empower the community as a whole. Yeah.
Just to also add on that employment part, it's a very, in as much as we are about food security, there's other things that we're securing, like jobs for the youth. In a sense, for instance, for both of us, the standard system of graduating and then finding a job did not work out for the both of us, in a sense, and we are now applying our skills the best way we know how, the best way we've been taught. We've been educated by family, and this is how we are also giving back to the community, creating employment and securing food. So from here, we'll go to that section where we have planted radish, some baby spinach, and some coriander, using the same techniques that we used here. So yeah, let's go check them out.
Okay, so basically on trying to make a difference in the community, currently we don't have any mentorship program, but we'd like to incorporate that into our farm. Previously we had an institution that approached us and tried to get students on board. The problem we had was, because of the location we're in, we didn't have facilities to house the students to actually come on board and have a learning process on the farm. But in the long run, we do intend on looking into those avenues and getting learners on the farm so we can actually, engage and then feed off each other. They give us their knowledge from university and we give them hands-on experience on the farm. So basically they're practicals. In terms of our educational background, I'm actually a university dropout. So I was studying, but then I dropped out to venture into the family business. Melusi, you can take on from here.
For myself, I studied sport management. Sometimes you hear them say, choose what you like to do. I grew up playing sports. I grew up playing basketball, so I automatically thought I could give back in sports. So I studied sport management, and then I realized I was boxed in as well. So I extended my studies, and I did a BTech in business administration, just to open up opportunities in a sense. And to an extent, that business admin is applied in my day-to-day life. In as much as I tried also the desk job, I was in finance, and since COVID, I was thinking different, and then I had to join my brother. So yeah, that's how the educational background. But not to say the young minds should not go to school. Be educated. Knowledge will open your mind.
Yeah, knowledge is always power.
Yeah. Knowledge is power. Go to school, study whatever you feel you need to equip yourself with. It's just that it won't work for everyone. You can't use the same solution for everyone because we are all different in a sense.
So let's go over to the other production.
So we're here now, the section that has our baby spinach. How many beds did we plant here?
It's a hectare.
Yeah, about a hectare of baby spinach. This one here, we were using a planter. We planted the direct seed, the same process that we used on that other section that we were at. And it's been,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. To be exact. And this is the results you get after 2 weeks. Might not look like much once you have planted, as if there's nothing, but after 2 weeks you start getting this germination that we were explaining back there. This is direct seed using a planter, so even the spacing is more aligned in a sense. You have better rows compared to when it's manual by hand, and it's less time. This happened under an hour.
Yeah, this is basically now, yeah. So initially when we used to plant baby spinach, you use manual labor. So the downside to that is the same amount of time it would take using labor. We've basically saved on production costs, because then it would take 3 days to do the exact same with about 10 to 15 people. now we've drawn back on that using a mechanical planter. So yeah, as you can see, if you look here close, it says block C. That's for traceability, as I mentioned on the top. So now you can see, if you look at that card up there, it wrote block G. So now, for example, if you're buying the product in the store, you'll know where specifically, if the retailer calls the pack house and says, we've had a problem with the batch of baby spinach, you'll be able to trace it specifically to this plot of land, and you would know as the final customer where it's actually coming from. So traceability is important, and I can't stress it any further, because it's really important, and that's where we want to go in terms of our business: traceability and having the final customer happy with what we're producing on the farm.
You can come with us. We can check out our trial run with radish, new variety of the seed, and just to see how it does in our soil. Then we'll take the decision from there on. Say, are we maximizing? How many hectares are we going for? And yeah.
So if you look at this block here, this is after the trial. So further up there is the trial that we did, but here's the actual radish, which is also planted the same day as the baby spinach 2 days ago. Also, it's traceable. If you look at the board there, you can actually see when it was planted, which block. So as I explained, if you're in the retail store, you have a problem or you're happy with the product, you can always trace it back to our production right here. And if you look closely there, there's a rain gauge. As Melusi mentioned earlier, you can actually go have a look there. This is also part of Global Gap principles to sustain water usage. As you know, water is a scarce resource, and the retailers are becoming more and more finicky in terms of how you use your water, where you source your water. So for example, when we irrigate, if you look closely, it says 5 mils. So when we say to the guy operating the sprinklers, we need 5 mils of water, it's just below, it's 4 mils, but roughly we're gauging and we're saving water, because water is a scarce resource and we're trying to use it wisely. Also on our behalf, it helps us save costs with electricity, so we don't over irrigate or under irrigate. We're just doing it like precision irrigating. So yeah, let's show you the final product, how the radish looks when it needs to be harvested. When we mention retailers, so we have all the retails in our belt, but indirectly. So you Pick n Pay, Woolworths, Spar, Checkers, ShopRite. But we're not doing it directly because of the main drawback at the moment currently, which is a pack house, which we're working on getting funding for. And once that operation is available in the business, then we'll be doing a direct link between us and the final user. So when we come back to traceability, then we have that vertical approach from the farm straight to the final user. So yeah, that's who we are.
Yeah, so at the moment, when we get a pack house, that means we are now no longer supplying pack houses, because we will have our own means of production, packaging, and we meet all the compliance requirements and standards, and then we'll have a direct connection to the niche market, which is the retail. I think in general the bigger picture is upscaling as a farmer. Starting as a smallholder, you envision yourself as a commercial farmer. And the gift we have is being able to see the entire value chain of agriculture. For instance, like we're mentioning, packaging house is another pocket of on agriculture, and just looking at how we can then expand on a bigger, because the commercial farmers that we know are doing 1,000 hectares and above, and there's productions. Their brands are known out there, but in essence, it's more for us like having big operations in a sense. You can dabble on that as well.
So basically, the bigger picture is to have a bigger share of the market, because as young, and I'm going to mention the black farmers, there's a lot of red tape going into these industries, but we've managed to break those chains and find ourselves in boardrooms or in meetings where we never thought we'd be. But we're constantly going to try and push and get a bigger share of the market. And there's always, from when we started, there's always been expansion. There's never been a drawback in terms of a decline in sales. It's always been an upward trend. So we're trying to consistently try and get to the top. But slowly but surely we'll get there, as they say, Biki Mark Muir. So maybe in a few years' time, we'll be a household name. And we believe that's going to happen. We're going to become a household name that's going to be known throughout the country, like your ZZ2s and the like.
And the bumps of weather will not take us down.
Yeah.
Supermarket is another pocket in the value chain, where we see even competitors are doing the same. You have people that are growing and they are distributing, and they have fruit and veg markets for the communities around them. That's another pocket to look into when we consider expansion, growth as agropreneurs. Yeah, the picture is a big one.
Yeah. So we would like to show you baby spinach. This was a trial we did. We'd like to show you how it actually looks. I'm sure you've seen it in stores. It's a very tasty crop. Yeah, it tastes like avo, actually. But we can only grow it up in the northern parts of South Africa in the summer. So, in the winter because of the rains. Yeah. So this is how it looks. I'm sure you've seen that before. It tastes like avo. It's delicious. Yeah, that's baby.
According to regulations, this is the shape that is acceptable. But you know how the industry is. What's that shape that they don't want?
Wizard.
The wizard. It looks like a
Christmas tree.
Shield,
yeah.
like a Christmas tree. But this is what's acceptable at most.
Yeah, it's all just customer preference. There's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, it's just the palate. People, as you know, we're visual beings, so there's nothing wrong if it becomes wizard shape. It's just customer preference.
But when there's no baby spinach, they take it.
Yeah, they take it. Yeah.
People would say, we don't want this, they want it.
Yeah.
When demand comes.
So in terms of, can you see, the baby spinach is smooth, there's no holes on it, no defects. So we apply herbicides for weeds. So everything we apply is registered. It's registered, and there's something called MRLs, minimum residual levels. So for example, on your baby spinach, you're only allowed to apply a certain amount of insecticide or herbicide on your crop. So the final customer is not affected with their health or anything of that sort. So yeah, we apply registered insecticides, which you get at our local cooperation just down the road.
Just between the beds, you can walk like this. Stand up.
No, you can. Did you try? Did you try?
No.
Started with our first trial. First trial of radius. Planted the same way with the planter, just as we've seen a couple of beds down there. As you can see here, it's come to size. It's that acceptable size for spec for harvest, and this is ready for harvest. We've harvested a bit already, and then tomorrow we're gonna harvest again, and this will be the end of these 2 beds, and maybe a decision will be made to say we maximizing on the radish, and because this was a new seed that we were trying out. And yeah, you can, those that don't know what radish is, you can slice this or grate it in fine slices, garnish it in a salad. It's quite healthy. It's nice. Yeah. So the trial beds was just 2 beds, yeah? It's about over 100 meters from here to there on 2 beds. That's like 200 meters of radish.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the tour of this farm and this operation. Now we'll be taking you to the cabbage practice, where we'll see exciting things. Catch you soon.
Mountain. Love to live in the city, but no. The reality is, as a farmer, you can't be that far from your production. Yeah. Unless you have crops that are not really dependent on your touch. You have maize meal, you have butternut, pumpkin. You can do 2 trips if it's far. 2 trips a week just to oversee what's going on, as long as everything is set. Because, to an extent, you can't really use geography as a pinpoint, because if you have farms in Brits, you have farms, the commercial farmers go as far as Mozambique, Botswana, Namibia, have operations everywhere.
Yeah.
So you traveling in between time. Yeah. Welcome. I hope you're still following. We promised to show you our cabbage operations on a different farm from where we started. This year is a 32-hectare farm, but at the moment the cabbage is only a quarter of that 32, which is about 8 hectares of cabbage, 240,000 plants. These are about close to 4 months old since we planted. That's right. Mm-hmm. And we have about 5 more weeks to go before we can harvest. But this is what you see. This is our cabbage. And to go into detail, my brother will go through that with you. And what you are seeing in the back is a pivot irrigation system. This irrigation was scheduled for 10 a.m. It's going to go for 9 hours because we're trying to achieve 10 milliliter on the rain gauges on the plants. And we do this process twice a week, in a sense, 9 hours every time. And you can go through the details of the other steps that we take to make sure that our cabbage looks like this, and that it doesn't have that purple lining you normally see on other growers' products.
Hi guys, it's me again. I'm going to take you through a brief process from seed until the final product. So as you can see, This is our cabbage field. We sourced our seed from a very reputable brand. I'm not going to mention the name, but yeah, you can see it's beautiful. So from seed to final product, it takes about 5 months. Seedlings take 4 weeks. And because we're in the winter slot, from autumn going into winter, it takes 4 months for the cabbage to grow, so roughly 120 days. It's obviously quicker in the summer months, 90 days. You do get cabbage that are a bit smaller that take about 65 days to harvest, but this specific variety takes between 90 to 120 days. But in the winter, of course, as I mentioned, it takes 120 days. Yeah, the reason why we chose cabbage is because it's a staple, and as we see the direction in which the economy is going, there's been a downward trend on spending capacity because people's pockets are a bit tighter. So as much as our main crop is lettuce, we chose cabbage because we saw that staple crops are selling quicker and they're more profitable, because if you look at the market trends also within the economy, and also because we going into winter, it's more viable to do it during this slot. Yeah, so I don't know what you'd like to add on to the production.
In terms of viability, with lettuce, when we look at the season, winter, lettuce is frost sensitive. And so if we were to have such a production like this for lettuce, we would be risking it in a sense, risking to lose the production. But with cabbage, we can go through winter, we can even harvest in winter, depending on when it is we planted.
Yeah, because it's a hardy crop, yeah.
And the days are longer because this variety of cabbage is those big heads, so it'll take
a while, yeah.
Because it's still weaving as at the beginning of the
field.
The field, you can see the heads are already starting to form.
Yeah.
But some, because every time you plant, you are expecting at least 80% yield on the harvest, because some heads don't form fully, but hence you won't see a uniform size. When at the beginning of the field, you have big heads that are already starting to form, and in some, even in the middle, you will see some heads are starting to form. And then you will see, let's say, for example, these ones are on the outskirts, right? And they might not be getting as much nutrients as the ones in other different patches of the land, and that could explain why the difference in
growth.
You would experience that. Also, you would see that there's on this edge it's quite rocky in a sense. You can get J roots on your plant, and a J root is when a root of a cabbage is giving you that J shape. It also affects the growth of the cabbage. You can have your cabbage bolting or just not forming properly. But yeah.
As you can see, the cabbage here, it's about 9 weeks in. We have about 4 to 5 weeks until harvest. You can see it's clean, there's no spots. You would find every now and then spots because it's hard to completely control any pests getting into the field. So on a weekly basis, we have our spray program, which is part of the Global Gap practice. It's called plant protection. So we use registered chemicals to actually keep pests away. So as you can see, the leaves are clean, looking very healthy. Then we use also registered fertilizer on our crops to make it green and luscious. So when you buy it in the shop, you're not buying something that's not attractive. It needs to look appealing for you as the customer to also buy. So yeah, as you can see, that's the basics that you use to get the crop to where it is now.
Can you share more information about planting golden flowers next to cabbage?
Oh no, there's not golden flowers, those are weeds. Yeah, they're not flowers, they're weeds. No.
I see
Yeah.
that where you planting more than one, because it's a biodiversity. Yeah.
So the production costs on cabbage per hectare, you're looking at 60,000 per hectare input. It could go up depending on the variety, your fertilizer. But if you stick between 60 to 80,000 per hectare, that's your production cost on cabbage. That's including your seed, fertilizer, land preparation, labor. The nice thing about cabbage also is not as finicky as like your lettuce, where you need to have people constantly weeding. Yeah, we've applied chemicals at the beginning of the season, and we won't need to come in until we harvest again. So that's one of the pluses to it. And then depending on the price, really, so you plant between 25 to 30,000 heads per hectare, and then if you sell it at 10 rand, you can just do the math on the profit margins per hectare. So as you know, in June, it's Youth Month, a very important month in South Africa, and it plays an important role in us going forward as youth in our country. Back then, when the struggles were had, there's a lot of downsides to being black in our country, and I think we've seen what the youth can do in improving society as a whole. As you look at June 16, what happened back then, I feel like it's time that youth in South Africa take the pride and the knowledge they have to take this country forward. And to me as a farmer, it would mean having more African or black people incorporated in the industry, not just scratching the surface, but be actually included in the mainstream part of agriculture through the whole value chain. So from the farm itself all the way to the retailer, where we have black people included, as you mentioned earlier, having their own supermarkets of fruits and veg that are incorporated in the mainstream industry. As our country is predominantly black, I feel like we as black people should be incorporated more in those industries. It's really important. So Mr. President, aka Mr. Cupcake, as we all love you, you did us well in the US with Trump. I'd love you to, as you're a farmer yourself, to have more policies in place to actually enrich and empower black people, especially black young farmers, as we're the future of this nation. As you know, food security is a base of any economy, and I'd love for your policies to actually follow through to the grassroots, to farmers like myself, because it's all good and dandy. We hear this in Parliament that agriculture has been allocated X amount of finance, but we at the bottom, we don't actually see that happening. So I'd really love to see that happening on the ground.
So, just to come off from your point on June 16, this month is it's a revolutionary month where our peers back in the day, now they are our elders now. They demonstrated that the youth has the power, the future is in the hands of the youth, and basically referring us back to this moment where we are in the Youth Month, and those that were rebellious to a system that was not working for them. In a sense, you would say we are rebellious because the farming industry is not a walk in the park for the youth of South Africa. More or less, even the elderly generation, it's not easy for a black farmer to make it, in a sense, because we have to lease the land, we don't own the land, so whatever we are making, we still need to pay for land, in a sense. So June 16th for me, it resembles the fire that is within us, that is not, we don't give up, regardless of whether it's agriculture is a challenge, whether it's a good season or not. We keep at it, also because, in a sense, when people say my fingers are green, I think our blood is green because this is generational. We are fourth generation of farmers, and singela wasendlini, imfundiso sifumana endlini, and then we also apply from the knowledge when we study certain things. We want to study about how to plant cabbage, comparing it with the knowledge that you've been given from home, so there is guidance in a sense. So we will soldier on like the June 16 youth and keep at it, and maybe in the future we will be talking differently from now. So in terms of support, in a sense, some of these things like global gap, you're getting like having access to a niche market. You somewhat need funding, right? Funding for you to build the structures where you are doing agro-processing that would catapult us into the niche market in a sense. Because right now we can't pack because we're not compliant in a sense. So once we have funding, investors that will come and say, okay, we want to set up a structure for you that is a pack house in the form of a pack house where we have refrigeration, like a state-of-the-art pack house where we have refrigeration and then refrigeration on the move in transit when we are transporting the goods. Those would help a lot in a sense that's like a nudge in a sense in terms of the kind of help that we need. Because when you look at operations, we are hands on deck. And then when you look at compliance, we are still getting their baby steps. But yeah, when investors are involved, it might.
Let me just add on to what he's saying. So
Also, another reason why you need a pack house is to mitigate risk. The risk involved in just producing and not having a facility where you can buy in produce. For example, we have contracts where you need to supply X amount of produce 12 months of the year. And now if you're just on the ground and you don't have a pack house, you can't buy in product. I'll give you an example of this past season with the heavy rains. On the previous farm we showed you, we had about 4 to 6 hectares of lettuce that we lost due to consistent rains. But now if you have a pack house, you can always source out this product from different farms in different regions. So it also mitigates that risk and you have constant supply 12 months of the year. So yeah, financial support in that regard would actually take us to the next level and have, as I mentioned earlier, we'll have a bigger chunk of the whole value chain in the whole industry. So that's how finance would actually assist. Also, it's not only about finance all the time. The relationships you build in the industry also open doors for you that you never thought would be open before. So in terms of assistance from other companies or other sectors where it's not only financial but other support or advisory support that would actually help you get to the next level in your industry. So the advice I had for young farmers is when you look at farming, don't look at it from a money aspect. Yes, long-term, generationally, it's very profitable. But short-term, don't look at the money gain. Look at it as a legacy that you can build for your kids and great-grandkids. If you look at the industry throughout the world, it creates generational wealth that will be there forever. And also another thing is when you have a bad season, don't give up. Don't feel like it's the end of the world. Because one old man once told me that in this industry, you can be eating steak today and tomorrow you could be eating sardines. So you have to, you have to man up and know that it's something that you're creating for your kids or your great-grandkids. You can add onto that.
So it's like in every aspect of life, there's seasons. Life is a seesaw. You go up and down. You must be able to weather all the ups, celebrate the downs, learn what you have to learn. If you are starting, let's say today you're seeing this and you think, okay, I felt like I've always had a passion for farming, and you don't know where to start. Perhaps maybe reaching out to people who are already doing. You can shadow those. If it's a matter of getting educated, you can go to university, study for it. If it's not a university, if you can't get into university, you can. There are institutions that do teach farming, but what you need to keep is the fact that it's when they say farming is not for the faint-hearted, they mean that when you take a loss, don't walk away from that. You must learn and keep in there, hang in there, start over again. If it means you're starting on a smaller portion, it will eventually get back to where you were. All in all, it's all for the long run. The trees you'll be planting today are not for us to sit in the shade. It's for the people that are coming after us, All right, that's it from us, from Njoli Farm, guys. Thank you for joining us. And hopefully the next time we meet again, we will be talking growth again. See, we've gone from where we were, now we have applied the things that we'll share the other story, whether we got funding and, those success stories also, because I don't think this is falling on deaf ears in a sense. We appreciate the support, because without you guys, without the young farmer guys, Zanzi Young Farmer, there's no way we would have access to a platform like this. So this is also support in a sense. Media is a good support. Yes, because there's no way that you wouldn't have gotten to this information without media. So yeah, we appreciate this and thank you for joining us.